What's up, guys? I'm Aisha Thomas, your leadership and team development expert, here to provide you with some additional strategies to help you become more of an effective leader. Why? Because individuals don't typically quit the organization. They typically quit the leader, and that's why you need leadership development. Now we're going to talk about something different today. I want to start preparing us because in the next few weeks, we're going to talk about how we humanize the workforce, the workplace. Our team members are looking for something different now as we move into the future of the workforce. They're looking at their roles to be purposeful, for it to be meaningful, for them to be serving in roles that's going to benefit the future. They're also looking for spaces to be more diverse, inclusive, also equitable. So they're looking at their roles at a bigger lens than before, where it was just a check, because we want to be happy in our roles. Even as leaders, we want to feel that we are respected, that we're in a great organization. And even people are looking for the organizations to mean something, to support certain causes. So we really have to start considering, how is our leadership style going to look and shift as we're looking at the future of the workforce? And that's the reality. As things are changing, as innovation is happening, we're not just looking at the skills and the abilities for a role. Now we're looking at how we can become effective as leaders with these shifts that are occurring. And one of those areas we need to look at is humanizing the workplace. Now, the area that I really want to highlight today in this bonus content to prepare you for humanizing the workplace, that series, is to talk about the thing of inclusion and equity. We know that diversity is extremely important. That's having those spaces that mimic society. But one of the areas, or the two areas, that a lot of organizations and spaces are missing are the areas of inclusion and equity. So now let's talk about what inclusion is first, to kind of give people a refresher of what that is. I know you might have heard that over and over again, but there's some people out there that don't really know specifically what inclusion looks like. But that's where, is my opinion, am I included in the decision making in some kind of way? Or is it that I can even give input on decisions, or how things are being managed, and how the roles and responsibilities might be changing within that organization? It is allowing people to have that voice heard. So when I'm included, that means that, hey, you know what, before we make this decision, I want to ask what our team members think. Before I make this decision, let me look at the big picture. Let's look at the practical steps, but also let's connect to the people and identify how this is going to affect them. Because a lot of times our team members are in the weeds. They're the ones seeing what's happening in a different perspective than we are at the top or at these different levels. So by getting their input, that is so important. They need to be included in those areas. So one of the companies that I've always supported on this, that give a great example of this, is Salesforce. Their CEO, Mark Benioff, requires that 30% of the meetings that he has women representation. So that is a requirement. He wants those voices to be included in those rooms. So when we're thinking about inclusion, are you ensuring that individuals' voices are heard? And I'll show how that ties back up to humanizing the workplace. The other area is also equity. Equity is where now, yes, my voice is being heard. You value my opinion. I can give it. You'll make your decision based off of it. But now, do I have an actual seat at the table, at the decision-making table? Because you have those roles. You have that executive, that C-suite that will sit and have their board meeting, or they'll have their meeting to determine how they're going to move forward. But who is sitting on those seats? Who are those board members? Who are those executives in that room that are really a part of that decision, that final decision being made? And that's the area that we really need to see that diversity, inclusion, and equity all at once. We need to see diverse faces in that room. We need to also have those voices heard. So we need to have people that are included. You're here, but I want to also hear your voice. And they need to have a seat at the table so they can aid those decisions being made. If you don't have a room of diverse faces, then what is the representation there for those team members at the middle tier, at the first tier? If you don't have that, then there's no representation. So you want to make sure that you have a room of people from different backgrounds. They can also speak to your clients' needs. And maybe you're working on something for moms, and now you have someone on your team that is a mom or a parent. And by having those people in the room, they can help with making those decisions. But again, that is so important that you're providing equity, a seat at the table. Yes, I want my voice heard. You get my input. I give it to my leader. My leader gets it to you. It gets to another space. But now, if you have someone in that room, it is now at that top tier level. And that part is so important. And now, why does that tie back to humanizing the workplace? Well, now that you have that equity, that inclusion, you have diverse faces up in that executive tier, that C-suite tier, that decision-making tier. Now you're not only making decisions with a diverse room, with people that can represent different cultures, different backgrounds, you are also building relationships with those individuals. A lot of us are not in diverse spaces that often when we go back home. We might live in an area that might predominantly look one way. Our friends, our family members, they look one way. So our workspaces might be the most diversity that we see. But if you're sitting next to people from different backgrounds, you're starting to build relationships with them. All those myths and all those stereotypes that are put out there are being dispelled because now you're learning from people, from them specifically, versus the things we learn on TV. I tell people all the time when I came to the United States, a lot of the information that I learned on television wasn't actual facts. Those information, that's not what it was until I went to that neighborhood, or until I talked to that person, until I was in those diverse rooms. That's when I was like, oh, those things that are those stereotypes or those things I saw on TV was not a fact. So just imagine now you're in a room, you're at that top tier because you see a breakdown with the C-suite tier and the mid tier. There's not much diversity that typically happens in those rooms. But now you're sitting next to a room and you're working with African Americans. You're working with Asian Americans or people from just a variety of backgrounds that gives different perspectives. And now you're learning about them and now you're having a deeper understanding from them. So now when you see those team members, you don't look at them based off of the stereotypical information that you learned or the assumptions that we all have learned or biases that we all have because of the way we have learned information. And now you're building relationships, and that's allowing you to look and see the human behind that individual versus the surface level information that we typically get. And that is so important because, again, this is how your organization is going to change. This is how you're going to start really seeing people a little differently and having a different level of understanding, because when it comes to empathy, we don't necessarily have to relate and know specifically what the person has went through because we went through it, but it's having that understanding, listening to them. And the best way to do that is by having diverse faces in those rooms, providing that equity so you can have those spaces where you are around more diverse people. And now it gives you a different understanding and perspective. And now we look at the human, and now we can connect with our team members a little bit differently. Now you can connect with the people that work to push the mission and vision of that organization a lot differently because you have that representation, even at the top level, and now it's trickling all the way down. So that's what we can do to start really considering humanizing the workplace. Inclusion and equity has so many different benefits than what we think of, and we have to start looking at it from that perspective as well, because moving forward, people are looking to really be in spaces where they feel cared for, supported, they feel like they're a part of the team, and that is going to come from really humanizing and look at the people and looking at the emotional intelligence part of how we do leadership. So this information is so important because individuals don't typically quit the organization, they typically quit the leader, but they do quit the organization because they're also looking for organizations to stand for something, to have that institutional change. So recognize it's time to start humanizing our workplace. So stay tuned as we start talking about different strategies as we move forward. And I thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my website so you can get some tools to really help you on this journey of being an effective leader that people don't quit.